Elizabeth Hartman was 36, sharp-tongued, stubborn to the bone, and far too certain the world bent to her will. For years she had drowned her solitude in bourbon, and after her family threatened to cut her off, she purchased an abandoned auction house in Athens, Georgia. Not for the charm, not for the history, but for its proximity to a rehab clinic she swore she didn't need, and the hope of a new beginning. The building was massive and brooding, its brick walls weathered by decades of rain and whispers. Inside, dust blanketed warped oak floors, and the stale air stank faintly of mold and something metallic, like pennies left too long in the sun. The house carried a heaviness, as though the air was bruised. That first night, she unpacked just enough to make the kitchen livable, poured herself one last drink, and collapsed on the couch. Sometime past midnight, a knock rattled the front door. It was slow at first, 3 soft taps, then again, harder, more urgent. Elizabeth pulled the door open to reveal an old African-American man standing in the pale wash of her porch light. His clothes were torn and caked with soil, his skin hung loose over a skeleton-thin frame, and his eyes, deep and sunken, glistened with something desperate.
My roommate, he's not right in the head. He tried to kill me tonight. Please, just a place to rest, just for a bit. I ain't got nowhere else.
Elizabeth hesitated. She thought of the stories her grandmother told about Athens, about its ghosts, its grudges. But the man looked so fragile, so defeated. Against her better judgment, she opened the door wider. The moment he crossed the threshold, the air shifted. It thickened, humming like the pause before a lightning strike. Elizabeth shut the door, turned, and froze. The man's back arched unnaturally. Bones cracked like snapping twigs as his frame lengthened, his skin modeling into shades of gray and rot. His clothes tore at the seams, revealing ribs like warped fence posts. The smell hit her then, an unbearable mix of damp earth, burnt hair, and the sickly sweet rot of something long dead. His eyes were no longer sunken, but bulging, milky, and furious.
This was supposed to be my house. It promised us 40 acres, a mule, a future. My family died here, Elizabeth. Died believing in freedom that never came. They bled into these floorboards, starved in these walls, and you. Now it's your turn. Your turn to serve, to kneel, to learn what chains feel like.
Elizabeth stumbled back, but the poltergeist lunged. A rusted kitchen knife appeared in his hand, its blade pitted and streaked with something dark. He slashed, the edge grazing her cheek, hot blood spilling down her face. The sting was instant, the smell of iron mingling with the stench of his decay. She grabbed a broken chair leg and swung wildly, shattering part of his jaw. It dangled obscenely, bones splintering through pale gum tissue. He didn't scream. He laughed, a wet bubbling sound that curdled her stomach. The fight tore through the living room. Walls cracked under his blows. Her breath came in ragged sobs. She smashed a lamp into his head, the bulb bursting in a flash of sparks, and bolted for the back door. The night air was cold, but it carried no relief. She could feel him behind her, could hear the slap of bare feet on the dirt, smell the rot clinging to him like a second skin. She didn't stop running until the house was a dark smear in the distance. That same night, she called a priest to bless her house once she was far away from it. She never believed in God, but that was the only thing she could think to do at that time. After the priest called to tell her he had blessed her home, she went back. Elizabeth survived, but she didn't live, not even with the blessings bestowed on the house. For weeks, she jumped at every creak of the floorboards, every brush of wind against the windows. Sleep became impossible. Whenever she closed her eyes, she saw his teeth, felt the knife, heard that laugh. The line between waking and nightmare blurred until there was no difference. And her drinking problem didn't help. Bottle after bottle, she drank away her pain, fears, and unease. One rainy night, she sat at her kitchen table. The world beyond the window was blurred with shadows, and she swore she saw him standing at the tree line, head cocked, waiting. She poured herself a drink, then another. Then she fetched the same kitchen knife he had used on her, its blade still faintly stained. She pressed the cold steel to her wrist. Her breath shook. The first cut burned, hot and deep. Blood welled instantly, running down her arm in thick, dark rivulets. Her heartbeat roared in her ears. She welcomed it, welcomed the quiet that crept in as her vision blurred, the weight of fear lifting for the first time since that night. Elizabeth died alone at that table, her blood pooling into the cracks of the old wood, seeping into the same floorboards the poltergeist had once claimed. And somewhere, in the house she thought would bring new beginnings, something laughed. Let me know in the comments, would you let just anyone in your house if their story was believable enough?